What's up, everybody? Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Dan Kornhauser. My co-host again is Mike Goodpaster. Mike, are you ready for the NFC East?
I'm always ready, Dan. I told you. Anytime I'm on with you, I'm ready.
So this is the NFC East Reloaded offseason grades and bold predictions. We're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys. We've got four teams. I've got four beers, and we've got four questions per team. First
More
question.
beers? I'm drinking raw cow's milk. You're drinking beer. What the hell?
We are not the same. Four questions. First one for the Dallas Cowboys. Mike, what was the Dallas Cowboys' best offseason addition or retention?
Oh, best addition. I mean, when you look at it, if you go by talent, it'd be George Pickens. I just have a tendency to think George Pickens might be a little bit of a cancer, Dan. What's your opinion on Pickens? Were you going to pick him as the best addition?
I am, actually.
Okay, so it doesn't worry you that he acts the way he does?
Oh, no, it does. It's definitely a concern. But when you're the Dallas Cowboys, they have tried for the last couple of years to replace Amari Cooper as the legitimate number two behind CeeDee Lamb. And all the players that they've tried it out there have been epic failures for one reason or another. Every single one. And it doesn't matter. CeeDee Lamb still produces, but Dak Prescott, you want to give him the most talent you can give him. And yes, Pickens is a head case. Yes, he has the potential to be a cancer, but he's on a one-year contract. If he ends up being a bitch midway through the season, they owe him nothing. They can just cut him.
And but he's already destroyed your season, possibly.
Well, you know what? Brian Schottenheimer is the new head coach. He was the offensive coordinator last year. I think he's got a little bit of a leash that this first year, if they win, 6 games, I think he'll be all right. But it's a worthwhile gamble. And honestly, looking at the Cowboys offseason overall, outside of maybe their first-round pick, Booker, who really excites you in terms of additions or retentions, really?
Joe Milton. I like Joe Milton. I just do. I'm sorry. I think Joe Milton has the possibilities to be good someday.
Well, I mean, he's competing and very likely to be their backup quarterback as long as he can beat out who's the guy, the West Virginia former quarterback?
Oh, that was it. The white dude,
yeah,
with the long hair. I don't remember his name. So yeah, Joe Milton will be the backup quarterback. I can picture him though, and he actually started a lot. And sometimes he wasn't awful, but that's about it. I think when you look at this, they got a bunch of pieces that are good players, if that makes sense. I mean, you got guys like Miles Sanders, Solomon Thomas, Javonte Williams. You drafted Booker. So I think that, they have upped it a little bit. And if George Pickens doesn't cause any issues, I mean, they could win some games. Now, go ahead and ask me what I think the worst move was. Brian Schottenheimer.
I was waiting for it. Why Brian Schottenheimer?
I mean, because it's kind of the same crap that we get in the NFL all the time. We got the nepotism going on. We have to have the nepotism coming on, right? I mean, if you look at this, Zach Taylor, that's nepotism. Sean McVay was he's been a good coach, but I'm saying it really helps if you want to be an NFL coach. If your daddy used to be a GM or a coach, I think Marty Schottenheimer was a great football coach. I don't think Brian Schottenheimer is a great football coach, and that's all I'm going to say about that. I just don't see how this is a good move. It's a good move for Jerry Jones because he wants to control everything that happens with his team. And Brian Schottenheimer is a guy with no pedigree that you can control. That's why Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach of this team.
And maybe for a little bit of continuity, that's a thing in the NFL. He was the offensive coordinator. Don't really change anything on the system. He calls the plays.
For a team that lost.
McCarthy.
I mean, this is the thing. Why do you want to keep a guy around that was part of the failure from the year before?
Oh, I agree. I'm never a fan of keep hiring your head coach being a guy who just won 5 games as the coordinator or whatever or position coach. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it's not like the offense was awesome.
Greenhouse. What's that?
I said it's not like the offense was awesome last year.
Well, it doesn't help when Dak Prescott gets hurt. Will Greer, that's the guy. That's the other one. Will Greer and Joe Milton. Sorry, it came to me, so I had to shout
All right,
it
we
out.
got a message from David Burnworth on Twitter. He says, with number 4 at quarterback, Dallas will never do anything in the playoffs. He had one good year, and that was so long ago, most Dallas fans have forgotten about it.
It wasn't that long ago. And trust me, Dallas Cowboys fans will never let you forget about when they were useful. All right, they're an incorrigible group.
That was the early 90s. I mean, we're an entirely different century now than when the Cowboys were last relevant. We're an entirely different century now than when the Cowboys were last.
Decade.
How many have they won? 1 or 2?
I don't know, maybe like 3 or something like that in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Give or take.
That's even worse than the Bengals and the Lions now, Dan.
I think the Dallas Cowboys have the longest drought of making it to the conference championship in the NFL right now.
There's no way they have that because the Cleveland Browns still exist. The last time the Cleveland Browns...
the longest in the NFC, at
okay,
least.
because the last time the Browns were there would have been 1989. So...
I mean, dude,
which really not that big a difference from the Dallas Cowboys.
Just think about this for a second. The Detroit Lions went 0-16 a few years ago, right? And they have made the conference championship more recently.
Wasn't that like 2008 when they went 0-16?
It was
like
recent
17
enough.
Years ago, Dan. You could rebuild in 17 years.
It was recent enough. Point is, they won 0 games, and now they made a conference championship, and Dallas still hasn't gone to that level.
And their coach pissed it away.
But this isn't a let's bash Dallas, so let's move. Oh, I didn't give my biggest loss, so or biggest worst move, whatever.
You didn't give us that. Well, you gave us the best move. You didn't give us the worst move yet.
I'm gonna say losing Zach Martin, their likely future Hall of Fame guard. He was a consistent force up front for him for a decade. He was the last piece of the trio of studs between him, Tyron Smith, and Frederick, the center that retired a few years ago. All former first-round picks, all great players. Now they're all retired and gone. But good for them. They've been addressing their offensive line in the last few years. They got a bunch of first-round picks on there, including Tyler Booker. So I think their offensive line could be useful if Tyler Guyton takes a step at left tackle. But yeah, that's definitely a tough loss whenever you lose a guy like that. Non-first round rookie to have an immediate impact. I'm going to start this one. I'm going to go with Jaden Blue. And I'm going to go with Blue because this offense, they need to run the ball. Last year was a disaster on the ground. They were one of the worst teams in the NFL on the ground. And Dowdle, he got 1,000 yards rushing, but he's out. They brought in a bunch of guys. There's literally 4 new running backs in that room, 2 draft picks, 2 free agent signings. Javonte Williams came over from the Broncos, but let's be honest, he had a little over 500 yards last year and impressed no one. That's why Denver was more than willing to let him go. I think he can be serviceable for Dallas, but I think at some point Jaden Blue is going to be the guy to take over in that backfield. He's just too damn athletic. He was one of the more athletic players in the draft. He had an excellent 40 leading up. Honestly, by the end of the season, I don't see why, unless he gets hurt or something like that, I don't see why he wouldn't be the top back. Because unless Javonte Williams has a breakout year and shows something special, I'm expecting nothing from Miles Sanders otherwise. Sanders might not even make it through camp because he's another one that doesn't do anything special for me. But, yeah, I'm going to say Jaden Blue. Mike?
All right. Mine will be Siobhan Ravel, who, once fully healed, I think will be a good addition. He's got length. He's got instincts. And I think he's a real asset in pass coverage. And it was a guy that was drafted. What was he drafted? 3rd round, I believe.
3rd round, yep.
Pulling off memory here. So I think he's a guy that if he's completely healed, he can help them probably right away. I think they had a decent draft. I thought Booker was a good pick at number 2. So I think this was a good draft. I think the Cowboys overall had a good offseason.
Now, with that,
for the Cowboys.
final question for the Cowboys: do you think they got better, got worse, or stayed the same?
I think they got better. I still, the worry to me is Dak Prescott, and the thing about Dak Prescott, which
Dak
I've
Prescott
talked
and
about
the head coach.
from what, well, Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. The
He
problem
is.
with Dak Prescott is he doesn't throw people open. I've been saying this for like 5 years.
Yes, you
and
have.
he doesn't. And that is the big issue with Dak Prescott. I mean, he's a good quarterback, but you better have and let's face it, if you got a guy who's good and he doesn't throw people open, you have to have like a granite wall in front of him. And they had that
They
5,
did.
6 years ago when he was really good.
And
What you've
that's where they
seen
were great. Yeah.
is that lack of ability to be able to see things that others don't. He doesn't have that ability. Now, there's only a few quarterbacks that can do that in the NFL anymore. He's not one of them. So you better protect him, keep him upright so he can see somebody get open and throw him the ball. So I think this team, when you look at the Commanders and Eagles at the top of this division, they're nowhere near being the Commanders or the Eagles. I think they did get better. I think tops, they're probably 7 to 9 wins, and I think that may be a stretch just because I don't think Brian Schottenheimer is a very good – I don't think he's going to be a great head coach, put it like that.
So for me, I'm going to say I think they kind of sort of stayed the same compared to last year. I mean, I think they'll be a little better record-wise, assuming Dak Prescott's healthy, assuming Trayvon Diggs, they get him back at some point later in the year from his ACL injury. But they got a lot of questions, man. I don't like their linebacker situation. I don't like their secondary. Bland is a good corner, but Revel is also coming off of injury. Kyer Elam on the other side. Buffalo traded him. He never really did anything special in Buffalo. That's why they were comfortable letting him go, even though they need guys in the secondary. Their situation at safety, I don't like. So, like, a lot of questions on defense. You're hoping that, again, their offensive line gels. I think Tyler Booker at right guard will be fine. But Terrence Steele at right tackle has injury issues. Is Guyton going to be good at left tackle? Because they've been talking about maybe moving Tyler Smith to left tackle and Guyton to right tackle.
Well, let's put it like this. They got better, but there's so many holes to fill.
There's so many questions. The running game, I mean, there's so many questions. So let's move on from the Dallas Cowboys to the New York Giants. That's where I'm at. I'm in New York. So I'm going to start us off. The first question for the New York Giants, best offseason addition. Now, there was a few that they made that I did like. And as being lacking a lot of talent, it's going to be hard to look at this and be like, oh, well, I didn't like this and I don't like this. But they added some quality players. I like Javon Holland, who they signed from the Miami Dolphins. Gave him $15 million a year. And he's going to be a nice plug and play in their at safety in their secondary. They didn't really properly replace Xavier McKinney when he left in free agency to go to Green Bay. And this fills that gaping hole in the secondary. And I picked Holland partially because he's such a big name and he was probably their biggest free agent signing. But there was a few guys that I could have mentioned here. So, Mike, who do you want to say is their best offseason addition or retention?
What would be the biggest is they could keep Andrew Thomas healthy.
That's
huge. I mean, that's the big one there. But there's just kind of like Dallas. There's so many holes here that it's hard to even figure out which one's the worst one. When I look at it, the best one, probably the best signing is Russell Wilson. They've got a quarterback now, at least. And Russell Wilson did not play. He wasn't the issue in Pittsburgh last year, but he's also no longer him. But I'm going to go off the board. I'm going to go with Abdul Carter, the edge from Penn State. I know a lot of people think he might be a bust. I think Abdul Carter is going to be a very good football player. Nobody may ever know it because he plays with the Giants, who are going to be bad again. But I would say Abdul Carter.
Okay. Biggest offseason loss, Mike?
Dory Jackson. I don't know. I mean, they could have lost the whole team. It probably wouldn't have been that big a deal, would it?
Yeah, I mean, Dan Jones left during the season, so it can't be him. And
No, I
even that,
mean,
I don't even
the
think
only people off
that's
the
a
top of my head
loss.
I can
So,
think of are Dory Jackson, Drew Lock, which is not going to be him, and that Azizi Ta. Or
Azeez
whatever they
Ojulari.
say. Yeah. So I'll go with Dory Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing for a team that wasn't that great. The guys that they lost, really, I don't think anyone's going to miss any of these. No offense, but yeah, I would. If anything, on the biggest loss, Carter at corner. Another team that needs help at corner. They brought in Paulson Adebo in the offseason, but he's coming off injury, so I don't know how effective he'll be right away for him. But yeah, I guess I'll go Jackson. Non-first round rookie who will make the biggest immediate impact for the G-men. I'm gonna go with Scatabo. I'm a huge fan
I
of
can't believe you took
Scatabo's.
that. I'm the one that first told you about him, I think. You should
I'm
have
a
loved that
huge fan. I
before
mean,
me.
no, I watched him while he was at Arizona State.
Yeah,
He
but
was
I'm the
good
one
in
that brought
college.
him
It's
up to
just
you.
listen,
You said, "Oh, I don't watch college football." I'm just kidding, by the way, Dan. So you're all right.
but yeah, no, their running back room isn't anything to write home about. I like Tyrone Tracy Jr. He was solid for them last year. He's solid in the pass game for him, but I don't think he's someone that you want to give 20 plus touches a game between the passing game and the rushing game. So with him and Scatabo, they can split time on all the downs. Honestly, I don't have any issue with Scatabo being a 3-down guy. Singletary, I think, should be pretty relevant early in the season. He offers nothing at the position at this point in his career. Was the 1-2. Maybe Eric Gray is the number, and hope these two young guys do something special and let the play action game work for Russell Wilson. Take those deep shots to Malik Neighbors. Outside of Scatabo, Mike, who stands out for you?
My issue with the Giants is I thought they had a really good draft, except I don't know why you would pick Jackson Dart at number 25 in the first round.
I hate it.
There was no quarterback here to pick that's going to solve this. You might as well build for the future. I'd like to see maybe a tackle or a center in the first round because we know the offensive line hasn't been good since about 2012, 2013. So I'm going to go Purdue 5th round, Marcus Imbo. And I think with him, Imbo or whatever it is, but I've seen him play a lot because I watch a lot of Big Ten football because I'm an IU fan. But I think he brings like rare mobility for a big dude. And I think he could sneak into this rotation sooner than, expected. I also like Darius Alexander. I think he was a good pick. I love Scatabo. So I think this draft overall was really good for the Giants. And I will say this, it's kind of like Dallas. This is the one division we've done so far where I think all 4 teams probably at least improve themselves a little bit, possibly. We're going to talk about the other 2, but the bottom 2 teams in this division, I think, got better. Mm-hmm. Now, not enough because they had so many holes. But, I mean, Carter and Alexander up front, if they both work out, your defense is there. Scatabo, I think, is going to be good. You get the guard from Purdue. So I think when you ask me the question, you haven't, but you're going to. So we're just going to kill the segue.
Right into it.
I think the Giants did get better. Is it enough to save Brian DeBall's job? I don't know. And I thought coming in, Brian DeBall was the right guy for this job. But I think the issue lies at the top with the New York Giants more than anything else.
At the top, meaning ownership.
We're talking ownership, the GM, and everything that goes with that. And I know that, they got a new one. But so far, I've not been overly impressed by DeBall. But once again, if you don't have players, it's going to be hard to win games.
That is true. I'm going to say the Giants got better this offseason. And yeah, sure, they were one of the worst teams in the league. They were picking second for a reason. That's how they ended up with Andre Carter. But kudos to them and kudos to their front office. This team may not have been good last year, but the Giants had a good draft last year and good solid offseason last year. They had another good draft this offseason. So I think they're building something useful. They should have one of the better defensive fronts in the league with Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, who's a beast up front. Darius Alexander, when he gets his bearings together and becomes I'd
Dan, you
say a
froze.
starter sooner than.
You're freezing occasionally, Dan. Dan's froze again, guys. There's Dan.
Oh, no.
Come on, Dan. I can hear you, but you're not moving. Well, we lost Dan for a second. So, with the New York Giants, I think what Dan's trying to say is this defense will be improved. The defensive front's good. And I think this is a team that will win more games than they did last year. Are you back with us yet, Dan? And the big thing with the Giants is whether Russell Wilson could put together a season that could make them a possible wild card contender. They've got the D line. If Scatterboo pans out, if, there's a lot of ifs here for the New York Giants to be able to go ahead and move on and become a playoff team. So it's probably going to take one or two more off seasons. And the big question in New York is, will Brian DeBall be here a year or two from now? All right, we'll let Dan hopefully get this figured out for him. And next up, we're going to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, the Eagles will be looking to go yet to another Super Bowl. It's 3 in a few years. Last year's champions. And when we look at the Philadelphia Eagles, you've got the question mark at center now. You know, you lost. And when you look at what they added and what they lost in Philadelphia, this is still, I think, this is a team that I think may not have got significantly better here. But when you look at the key additions, you got Adoree Jackson there. And this team really didn't need a whole lot. All right. So when you look at the Eagles, I think that, you know, they encountered kind of a common champagne problem for a defending Super Bowl champion. They couldn't really afford to keep everybody this offseason. And they took a substantial hit on the defensive front with the departures of Sweat and Williams. But Philadelphia stuck to its blueprint of allowing recent draft picks to fill the void without pressing for needs. And the one thing the Eagles have done really good, which has made them a legitimate contender every year for the last 3 or 4 years, is they drafted really well. And, you know, maybe some of their best things they did were like the re-signing of, you know, an all-pro linebacker, Zach Bond, and Howie Roseman with the Eagles, the GM. He selected Campbell in the first round. They've got a stellar group of linebackers who could help the retooled defensive line, which the questions are there with the defensive line. Now, I think they took a major risk by letting Mekhi Becton walk in free agency after a breakout season. But the trade they made for Green was a cost-effective way of maintaining a high standard on the offensive line with the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a lot of key departures. The key departure to me is probably Becton. It's hard to get good offensive linemen. Like I said, he had a breakout season last year. But they've got some major losses here. Kenneth Gainwell, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brandon Graham, Avonte Maddox. You know, you got Darius Slay, Josh Sweat. But I need Dan back here.
Am I back?
Are you back, Dan?
I think I'm back.
All right. So I just gave a rundown of everything we needed to know there except for the draft picks. So go ahead and give me what you think was the Philadelphia Eagles' main key addition this last offseason.
So Jari Campbell, the linebacker they took in the first round, I think is their biggest offseason addition. Biggest loss was Gardner-Johnson. He's a shit talker, but he's a damn good safety. And now as far as their non-first round rookie, who I think is going to make an immediate impact, I'm going to go with Mookie, the safety that they took out of Texas.
That was the biggest impact for guys not drafted in the first round, correct?
Correct. Yes. The non-first.
All right. So mine, I haven't given mine yet, and I'm not sure here. They got a couple offensive linemen late, and see, the thing that surprised me with you, Dan, is the fact you didn't pick Becton as the key loss, because to me, it's hard to find good offensive linemen, and like I said earlier, I mean, he just had a breakout season, and to lose him could be a very bad deal for them.
Honestly, I give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the offensive line because the rest of the O line is solid. They have maybe the best pair of bookend tackles in the NFL when they're healthy. Um, Cam Jurgens at center stepped in nicely for Kelsey, who retired. And I mean, yeah, Becton was a solid starter for them at guard this past season. And yes, he had his best year as a pro.
Did we lose you, Dan? I think we lost Dan again. All right. So if we look at this with the draft, the guy to me who was probably the best get after the first round, I mean, don't overlook Ty Robinson, the Nebraska big man. He has a rare blend of speed and athleticism, which I think is tailor-made for this athletic defensive line that the Philadelphia Eagles have. And, another one is Mondon, who the Eagles unearthed in the 5th round, Georgia linebacker. I think he's one of the top coverage backers in football. And the thing is, right now, we're in the draft, but right now, when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, I know Dan's next question, if he was with us right now, his next question would be, did they get better? And actually, they lost a lot, but I really like this draft. So their offseason, I would give it a B. Did they get better? Did they get worse? It's kind of a toss-up to what this draft is. And what we've saw with Howie Roseman in the past is he does a really good job at restocking, retooling his team after you lose some players. All right, next up, guys, we've got the Washington Commanders. Hopefully Dan will be able to make it back with us. But the Commanders were a team that surprised everybody last year, made it all the way to the NFC Championship game. You've got Jaden Daniels behind center, which gives you a shot. We're going to see if last year was for real or not. Now, when we look at their offseason, I think the Commanders went all in to capitalize on Jaden Daniels' rookie season or his rookie contract. And the organization aided the second-year quarterback with the trades for Samuel and Tunsil. Now, Washington then continued to bolster the receiving core and offensive line via the draft, selecting standout tackle Connerly in the 1st round and dynamic wideout Lane in the 4th round. On the defensive front, the Commanders need cornerstone players, but the veterans, including the signing of Kinlaw, allowed the team to improve the secondary. Amos, the 2nd-round pick, and Jones should help Marshawn Lattimore, who had a rough first few months in Washington's shaky secondary. We know the defense really struggled that first half of the season, but they really gelled and played much better in the second half of that season. So I think this roster has come a long way since Dan Quinn and GM Adam Peters were hired in 2024, and they came a long way quick. But, Washington is no longer going to be catching anybody by surprise this year. So the question is, Dan, the question with the Commanders is this. I broke down all the questions you normally ask, and I think the big question here is they're not going to surprise anybody anymore. Is this roster really good enough to make a deep run again?
I don't see why not. I mean, they made a lot of moves this offseason, signaling that they're serious about contending. They made a lot of really good moves. They traded for Deebo Samuel at receiver. They traded for Laremy Tunsil at left tackle, who's going to be a stud blindside protector for Daniels. And they needed to upgrade the offensive tackle spot, and they did in a big way. I love their draft class. They brought in a couple of guys early that should be key pieces up front. Josh Connerly can play guard or tackle. Trey Amos should key in pretty early in their secondary at corner. And they're ready. Eddie Goldman, Javon Kinlaw, like you mentioned, Dedrick Wise, adding all these veteran defensive linemen for the rotation. And in terms of losses, outside of Jonathan Allen, which I think you might have mentioned, who even him, he only played.
Yeah, I mean, to me, there was they lost a few decent guys, solid guys, but they didn't lose anything where I look at it. I mean, you got Brown, Allen, Chin, Dante Fowler
Yeah,
Jr.
Chin's good, Brown's good,
They
Allen's
had the
good,
corner
Fowler's
too,
good.
Saint Justy or something.
Yep.
There's nothing there that I think, oh man, they can't do it. What are they going to do now? Because, like you said, I thought the draft, they only had like 5 picks, and I thought they did really well. I really like Connerly. I like Amos. I like Jalen Lane from Virginia
Lane
Tech.
was a solid pick.
Yeah, this is a solid draft. And I think what we've seen here is in the past, the reason right now, over the last 5 years, the Eagles and Commanders have separated from the Cowboys and Giants is the front office and the way they do free agency and the way they draft.
Now, my only question with Washington is the drama with Scary Terry, Terry McLaurin. It sounds like he wants a new contract. It's been reported that he seems pretty unhappy with the team at the moment. They really can't afford for Scary Terry to be holding out or miss training camp or anything like that. They really need, he is their wide receiver one. He's one of my favorite receivers in the league. And sure, they got Deebo Samuel, but I don't think they brought Deebo in to be their wide receiver one early on in the season.
Well, and Deebo's going to miss some games.
And yeah, I think
Always
that's
does. Yeah.
I think that's a given too with him. But yeah, I don't know if I necessarily peg the Washington Commanders as a team that's going to make another run to the NFC Championship. I think the NFC is pretty good otherwise. A lot better than the AFC. AFC's top heavy. But I think NFC's got a lot of teams that can make a push for the playoffs. I don't think Washington's, like you questioned, or they're not going to catch anybody by surprise this year.
Hey, wait a second. We got David, who 23 minutes ago asked this question. I've just seen it on Twitter. He says, "What did the Lions do in that championship game, and how many Super Bowls does the Lions have?"
No Super Bowls, and it's very sad. Wait, who said this?
David Burnworth.
David, you suck.
Hey, and David Burnworth, though, if you like high school football, go to @Heartland15, all capital letters. He writes dang near an article a day, high school football-wise, interviews different players all over the Midwest, all over the country. So make sure you check him out @Heartland15. You leave my buddy alone. Don't be talking crap about him, Dan.
Well, Mike, one final question. Which team had the best offseason in the NFC East?
And it's I think they all did pretty well, actually.
Someone's got to be number one.
Well, give me your number one first. I just had to talk for 10 minutes by myself because your mom's Wi-Fi is not that good.
Mom, the meatloaf. We want it now. The meatloaf. I never know what she's doing back there.
The mailman. So just go ahead and tell me what you think.
So best offseason, I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders, man. They made moves. They brought back a lot of veterans, key guys in the lineup. Bobby Wagner, Andrew Wiley, Noah.
And I don't think they lost a lot, which helps that also.
That's key too. The guys that they lost were contributors, but I think they'll be fine. And the huge guys like Tunzel, guys like Kinlaw, guys like Samuel, like that shows you this team is all in. If they can take the next step, that'd be great. But the NFC is tough. But I think the Washington Commanders had the best.
Well, the NFC East is tough. Is the NFC overall that tough? I mean, the NFC North, you just got like the Lions and the Bears and the Packers and the Vikings. Yeah, so it doesn't seem
that to me. That might be the best division in football.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The Lions are probably going to be lucky to win 7 games this year, Dan.
Spoiler alert. I don't think the Lions are making the playoffs this year.
I don't. Well, I said it before you did, so I don't know why you would say spoiler.
I've been saying it off camera.
I've been saying it since last year.
Months.
Because, Dan Campbell style coaching does get old after a while.
Yeah, it does. This rah-rah bullshit wears on adults. It works in the college.
Yeah. Now, there's been some that Pete Carroll's pulled it off, but even that got stale after 10 years or 15 years in Seattle.
That's what I'm saying.
But the rah-rah bullshit, I mean, usually doesn't win you a Super Bowl. George Allen never won a Super Bowl. He was a rah-rah guy. Now, there are some rah-rah guys. Dick Vermeil did pull it off, but he was kind of a mean rah-rah guy, too.
Old school rah-rah guy.
Yeah. So that's it. He'll rah-rah you, but he'll kick you in the head if you screw something up. So
Give me your best team. Come on, give me one. Give me one.
Best what?
Best offseason. Give me one.
Oh, Washington. I think it's Washington easy.
Perfect. Okay. We did pretty good on timing. That pretty much puts a bow on the NFC East.
Well, it's because I had to run through half the show by myself because
I don't know what happened with my connection here. I don't know.
Yeah. Your mom's landline wasn't working that well.
I'll make sure we move on from dial-up like it's 1999.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have a landline to get dial-up, so same damn thing.
Do we have a landline?
I don't know. What do you want to do next? You want to do the NFC North next?
Yeah, so our next show, we're going to be doing the NFC North. And then we're doing the NFC South, and then we'll finish off with the NFC West end of the month.
And we will do this every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, correct? From here to the end of the season.
Yes. We'll be doing our NFL Pick'em shows. It'll be great. Can't wait. So, Mike, if you have nothing else in NFC East, I think we're done.
I got nothing else unless you got something.
We're done. So, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. Give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, share on all your social medias. Follow us. Follow The Grueling Truth on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. Pretty much anywhere you could.
There's 300 places you can follow us on. Just go follow us on all of them.
Google The Grueling Truth, and you'll find it. Yeah, I'm Dan Kornhauser. For Mike Goodpaster.
Dan, we really need to work on you finishing a show strong.
Yeah, we'll work on that. But I'm Dan Kornhauser for Mike Goodpaster. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.